It's really awesome to be out on the road again, riding and testing motorcycles. This year's been a little bit on the challenging side for me, but it all started with me taking that giant leap of buying a warehouse at the beginning of this year, and then putting all my energy and efforts into restoring it, rebuilding into my little mini piazza, mini museum, the Route 21 Museum. Now, I've kept you updated on the channel, and most recently the latest addition to it is those two 6-meter tall pylons, the BP as well as the illuminated Caltex one, the one from the 70s, the other one from the 60s. So really cool additions, and it's really coming alive, that whole thing. I'm starting to put the bikes up onto the mezzanine. So really cool that I can finally display all these bikes and also do reviews and episodes on what I have in my collection. Now, today is the day. As you can see, always in South Africa, we've got beautiful riding weather, and I'm back on the road testing and reviewing bikes. Here behind me, if you've guessed it, the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401. But not only that, 2024, the biggest change since its launch in 2018 for the Svartpilen. They've also now got the bigger sibling, the 801. So what I'm going to do is start with the baby 401, go through the specs, review it, and then I'm going to pull out the 801, compare the specs versus the little one, and ride and review that one. So I think no more waffling, let's jump right into it. Where do I start with the Husqvarna? Now, in my opinion, Husqvarna, the brand, is for the person that wants to be an individual. You don't want to ride what everybody else rides, the mundane, the common bike. You want to ride something that's against the grain, that's very different. You want to be unique and an individual. And in a previous episode, when I reviewed the adventure bikes for Husqvarna, the Norden, it's very different, but very fun and funky. Now, these two naked versions, the Vitpilen, the White Arrow, and the Svartpilen, Black Arrow, the naked versions are also super different, and pretty much you love them or you hate them. Now, the Vit is more based on the cafe racer, if I can put it that way. The handlebars are a lot lower, foot pegs feel like they're further back, and this Swart is more based on a scrambler, if I can put it this way. If you look at it, the spoked wheels, handlebars are further up and further back, and you sit more upright. I would say on this Swart, you are way more comfortable and you can go for longer rides. The bikes, both naked versions, the Vit and the Swart, are minimalistic bikes, cafe racer or scrambler stylish, Swedish bike, Black Arrow, and first launched back in early 2018. Now 2024 brings the biggest updates since its introduction into the market, and on that point, in short, it has an entirely new engine, new chassis, new styling, and class-leading technology. Now, for those that don't know, the current home for Husqvarna is with KTM, and that's why it shares the same motor as the KTM 390 and the same chassis. So the KTM 390 motor is this particular power plant, the one produced in India. Talking more in detail about this power unit, I will compare this later in specs to the 801, starting with this 401 Husqvarna Svartpilen Black Arrow. It is a 4-stroke single cylinder, double overhead cam, 4 valves, 398cc liquid cooled, Euro 5 compliant. It puts out 33 kilowatts, which is 45 horsepower at 8,500 RPM, and 39 Newton meters at 7,000 RPM. Now that exhaust comes through here and comes out at the bottom. Super neat and tidy, and it looks cool. You can see the trellis frame, dual swing arm at the back, final drive chain. And when looking at the suspension, this is when you can see the KTM influence again. The WP Apex upside down forks, compression rebound adjustable, 150mm travel. Going to the back, the dual-sided swing arm with the monoshock off-centered to the side, highlighted in white. Again, the WP Apex monoshock preload rebound adjustable, travel 150. So both front and back 150mm travel. When you go to the stoppers, the brakes, up front a single disc 320mm 4-piston calipers, and you see your ABS ring over here. Going to the back, again a single disc 240mm in diameter, your ABS ring, and you have 2-piston floating calipers. The wheels on the Swart are spoked wheels, 17-inch front and back, shod with 110 and a 150. The Vit has the cast aluminium wheels. And the seat height of this bike is a really low 820mm, and on that point the bigger sibling, the 801, has the same seat height of 820mm. Now the dry weight of this 400cc capacity bike is 155 kilograms, which is really light, and that exciting modern futuristic tank has a capacity of 13 liters, which is enough considering the economy of this small capacity motor. Again, you either love this bike or hate the bike. When it comes to technology, you have the ABS, you have the TFT display. Have a look at this display, 5-inch full color TFT. You see gear indicator, rev counter, you've got your rider mode, street, road, your ABS lights. It is all there, all the information. Also, if I switch it on, you have LED lighting all around. Look at your daytime running light. If I switch the indicators on, absolutely good looking motorcycle. It's something that I didn't fully appreciate when it was launched, but it grows on me. And in my opinion, it's so unique, so different. There was nothing that looked anything like it before it. I don't know if something's gonna emulate it or follow it. So this might just be that unicorn bike that could be a collector's piece in the future. Who knows? I think we've covered all the technical specs and the basics of the bike. It's time to go on for a ride. When it comes to the sound, you'll hear it just now. It absolutely looks brilliant, that exhaust. I would like a little bit more sound on that, so maybe something aftermarket here. And maybe you could do something cool with the handlebar and mirrors, but the bike as is looks cool in my opinion. And I think the combination of technology on the bike, good looks, good build quality, and affordability is what it's all about with this bike and its price category. So going for the ride, I think bear in mind this is a small capacity motorcycle, 398cc, equivalent to the 390 KTMs. It's not going to set your hair on fire. We're not going to get speeding fines, but comfortable position, riding, commuter, that's what it's all about. So let's get on. Starting this bike, simple, no keyless. You got the proper key, the TFT fires up, all your information is there, and here's your sound. It's not a bad sound, but the looks on the exhaust pipe I really like. TFT is big enough, all the information visible, and let's see how she pulls. It is awesome being back on a motorcycle, something new, unusual to me, riding and testing. Now, first thing, it is a comfortable bike. This scrambler based versus the cafe racer, the Vit, this is the more comfortable of the two. I am sitting upright, I can lane split, I can commute in traffic, the power is plenty, the Newton meter torque is what plays a role here with these little singles, and definitely a head turner bike. People don't know what this is, so they look around, and it's just fun when you're riding something so different. You feel unique and you feel special. Plenty stonk if I'm rolling on here, 83 already, speed limit's 80. You can definitely do the speeds, and just have a lot of fun. Wind in the hair, no wind protection, and commute, be comfortable. The seat, you can feel the sponge, but it's a firm seat. It's not a plush seat. Handlebars are not too wide, but wide enough for good control, also for novices to get a good feel of it. If you're doing really slow rolling in traffic, lane splitting, this is a fantastic position. I'm sitting perfectly upright. Handlebars, they come to me if I sit and move my hands forward. This is it, without moving my body forward and back, and all the controls are really light. Have a look at the size of these buttons. I think they're actually backlit, but have a look at the size of them. Even with thick gloves, everything you can get hold of, no problem. You can see this TFT. There's no reflection to speak of as such. It is looking brilliant. You can toggle through these switches and everything. If I flick on the indicator, you can see it up there. Temperature's okay. Road mode, ABS, tells you everything. Rolling on here, speed limit's 80, and I'm up to 80 now. So you can see no moving obstacle. It is something that jumps off the line. It is most probably one of the more perky motors in this category. It has some vibrations through the foot pegs, and not too bad. You will feel through there if you're more experienced when it's time to change, if you're not listening to the RPMs. And overall, it's a solid little motorcycle. Fantastic build quality. It looks good. This modern paint job matches the modern futuristic looks of the bike. The rear view mirrors are nice and big. They're high up. They look past my shoulders. The vibration in them is minimal, and I just like everything blacked out. You've got a theme going, and it really just works. From your little levers, clutch levers, brake levers, the actual handlebar, the stems for the rear view mirror, everything is blacked out, and it works. It looks good. Black arrow. And the levers are such, clutch lever, very, very soft to the touch. You're not going to get a forearm pump, and that gear lever is silky smooth and minimal resistant. The first few gear changes, you hardly notice you're changing that gear. So everything is silky smooth and super light in operation. I think the bike is more razzmatazz when it comes to looks than when it comes to riding experience. It does the job really brilliantly. Everything works. Everything is silky smooth. The operations, everything is solid. Nothing feels like it's rattling or going to fall off this bike. So it is, I would say, above average when it comes to this category. It's a bike I would definitely rate in the small capacity motorcycles. This must definitely be one of the top, if not the top. From looks, it's starting to grow on me to the point that I would put it right on top. I like unique. I like being different. So this kind of thing speaks to me. Overall package, have a look at this. Really nice. It is a head turner for those passing by. They definitely don't know what this is. It's not a common bike, and it has a lot of logos on the bike, whether you look at the engine casing, on the seat, on the petrol tank. There are a lot of these Husqvarna logos, which is actually a barrel of a rifle with a scope, and yet it's not in your face. So if you're looking at it from far, you don't really notice. You have to come a bit closer, and you have to know what that logo is. Otherwise, you have to look on the side of the radiator where it actually has the Husqvarna name. So it is something that I enjoy. If you enjoy naked bikes, wind in the hair, it is a nimble bike. From a handling point of view, it is the perfect commuter. Light. It is a light bike, number one. Number two, being a single, center of gravity is nice and low. and it has the torque that I'm in 5th gear now. I'm not going crazy. I'm at 48 kph and I can roll on. The stoppers, firm grip for this, what it is, I think a single disc up front is enough, and it does stop with confidence. I think we're going to look for some traffic just now and some really bad roads to see what the suspension is like. I must say, what is not to like on this? Again, if I go through this TFT, have a look at this animation here, the bike info, trip info, it's all here, speed control, your menu, your settings, nice animation, and it's tucked away. It's actually quite far down, but a nice size. For example, if you compare it to the R1, which is a seriously expensive motorcycle and a big kit, this is the bigger dash and easier to read than the R1. Just an observation comparing it, and it is in the budget class, if you want to call it. So what can you complain about? You can see it gets off the line pretty swiftly. It's not going to set your hair on fire, or you're not going to go wheeling down the road. Yes, you can wheelie if you know what you're doing, but if you a more cautious rider or a novice, it's not going to accidentally wheelie on you and give you that massive fright. Also, if you get a handful of throttle through the bend, you're not gonna scare yourself. If you have a look, really low speeds, I haven't taken my feet off the foot pegs, and very good balance point, this motorcycle, and rolling on, power comes on smoothly, nothing jerky. The throttle movement, it's not too fine, so you can really grab a handful, open it up, and the sensitivity is good. Nothing surprises you or ambushes you. It is overall a pretty much a well-refined motorcycle, and it should be, having been on the market for 6 years already. And it is a bike that you can always want more. We always want more, but we forget that it comes at a cost, and you have to end up paying for it. So for what you pay for and what you get, I think this is a solid, complete, all-round package, and it's huge amounts of fun. It's definitely going to put a smile on your face. So if you have a look, this patch coming up here is really bad surface. This bike suspension has 150mm travel front and rear, and these are full potholes, especially rode on this road to see it's not knocking my spine or the base of my skull. It is manageable. You can also tune the suspension even more, so all round very manageable, and has a good feel, has enough suspension travel. The bike tracks nicely. The suspension combined with the seat is comfortable. It's not too much in any way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ride it back to Biker's Warehouse, where the Svartpilen 801 is waiting for me, and I'm going to ride it back to back against this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the ride first and then review the specs and compare it a little bit to the baby sibling. Should you start off on the small one, jump up, what is your differences in the bike, or should you be thinking start with a bigger one straight away? I am really enjoying this little nippy thing, and on a day-to-day basis it is definitely hassle-free, stress-free. Some idiot drivers not looking in their mirrors is the day-to-day thing. Here you go, the handling is proper on this thing. Rolling out here, giving it some straight to the outside. That's what I spoke about. You can be cheeky with this thing and give it some. Here we get to 100 kilometers per hour, which is not quite legal, but just showing that if people say small capacity bikes are boring and a slouch, not true. You just have to know how to ride them. I took this road on purpose because I knew there would be enough traffic here. The traffic lights usually don't work on this road, and I wanted to test it when it comes to lane splitting. And here you can see it's light, it's nimble, it's small, it's narrow, it's slim. The handlebars give you a good feel. The upright seating position, you're in complete control of this motorcycle, and I would say hassle-free and carefree. And again, I have to mention, in South Africa this lane splitting is totally legal. I know it is not in all countries, but here it definitely is. So it's something we do on a daily basis. So here we've parked with the 401. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out, to put the side stand out, it's here in between your gear lever and your foot peg. You got to hook that and put it down. It's a very short lever. If you don't know where to look, it's a bit on the confusing side, and it is very different on the 801 because you grab it behind your foot peg. Here you do in between your foot peg and your gear lever. But have a look at the two bikes side to side. Similar yet different. Over here you've got the spoked wheels, over here you've got the cast wheels. There you've got that gunmetal look, here you have the flat black. And I really like the rear seat, how it's incorporated, and that high exhaust. Over here you have something really unique with the exhaust low down. So silhouette wise, same bike, yet very different. I think what we're going to do is jump on now and go for that ride first, back to back, and at the end of the ride then do a specs comparison of the two bikes. Key again, we're talking about a normal key, not keyless start. TFT looks the same before we fire her up, and yep, it does look similar. What I said about the side stand, this side stand, if you remember on the 401 you had to grab it here between that lever and there. Here you go right back and you grab it behind your footrest to put the side stand down. So fires into action, a lot more info down here, and animation, motorcycle, bike info, trip info, and you can really street, go into default settings, your street, rain mode, dynamic, sport mode, street, rain, dynamic, sport. I think let's stay in street for now, but you can see you don't need a PhD, it's a very simple display. Very much the same as the 401. Woo! Definitely have more bite here, and the clutch grabs a lot earlier, way more power, and definitely firmer on the levers as well. Oh, here we go. Now this thing will wheelie. This 801 will definitely wheelie, and we were talking about a 398cc and we're talking here of a 799cc, so double the capacity. It's also a parallel. Wow, this has a bit of stonk on her. So good seating position, really good seating position. This feels like a sport riding mode. There's a lot of power here, and I could be lazy on the gear lever here, pulled off in fourth. Very different beast. Absolutely, this is like violent compared to the 401. But I must say, same seating position, feels great. You can be lazy here. I was in third gear, and this bike has quick shifter. Here you go, quick shift, no clutch, and ultra smooth. The controls on the levers, brake and clutch on the hand levers, more than double the resistance of the 401. You can feel a lot more clutch activity and resistance, and the stoppers are way stronger. You're talking about Brembo brakes here. Also good for lane splitting and huge amounts of power compared to that 401. I'm just in street mode, if you can see, road mode down here, street mode on the ABS road and street. And if you have a look, if I pull off over here in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, wow, way over the speed limit, and I was short shifting. I wasn't running it through because this is still a fairly newish bike with just on 2,000 kilometers. But truckloads of fun. If I were to say what bike this reminds me of, immediately I would say the bike that gave me this kind of smile when I first got on it, when it first launched, would be the Ducati Hypermotard. Back in the day when the Hypermotard was launched, it was that kind of bike that put that silly boyish smile on your face, where I said, this is crazy, you just want to do wheelies and stoppies because you're sitting on this bike and you can't see a front mudguard. Same here, I cannot see the front mudguard. And the power is hooliganism power. You have the quick shifter, and it's just, it's mad, it's insane, it's fun. I love it. I must say, this is what it's all about. I suppose not for the novice, please don't get me wrong here. This is wow stuff. For the novice, it's way too much. I'm sure you can go into rain mode and detune it, but for an experienced rider, this will put a smile on your face. From looks wise, it's so unique, and I think the performance on this matches its good looks. This is what I spoke about. Maybe it's unfair jumping on something that has twice the capacity, twice the amount of pistons. Sitting on the bike, similar feel. You got that firm cushion feel of a seat, sitting very upright, mid-mount foot pegs, not mid-mount, sorry, very much the sport riding position. They're under your bum, your heels. Handlebars come up and a little bit back towards you, so it allows you to sit upright, no weight on your wrists, forearms or lower back, absolutely no weight. I am uber comfortable on this bike and just ready to go, ready to put the elbows out, motocross style, put the feet out as you're throwing it in the bends. Ooh, this is good but not good. This is good but not good. It is one of those bikes. Another bike that spoke to me this much and made me smile in the first 5 kilometers like this was the Indian flat track racer, the Indian FTR, the 1200 Carbon. That was also one of those off the wall kind of bikes that you got on, and it just was super playful. And I think that's what this bike is. If you can keep head and sanity, it will be a brilliant commuter. However, if you are a little bit of those that suffer the red mist when closing the visor, this could get you into trouble because it has the power to do it. But when it comes to fun factor, 10 out of 10 this motorcycle. When it comes to comfort, seating position, 10 out of 10. And looks wise, I would give it 8 or 9 out of 10. But absolutely something that speaks to me, and I am going to enjoy this ride. If you see, the lane splitting is just as comfortable at lower RPMs. You've got good clutch control. You don't have to use the quick shifter here in traffic. I'm using the clutch, opening it up, using the quick shifter, very smooth. On the lever, gear lever, way more feel and resistance than you have on the 401. I would say notchy and positive. You know the gear is in. You just really know the gear is in. And when approaching traffic like ahead, you can just use the clutch. But also downshift is also on the quick shifter, so I'm going 3 down already and now going really slow. I use the clutch lever and you have really good control. The throttle versus the smaller one, yes, way more reaction, but I would also say nice and linear. It's not gonna give you frights or delays or sudden jump. It is very predictable as you roll the throttle on. The switch gear is identical. The TFT actually feels identical. The looks from here, it feels identical. The colors, matte black versus the, I would say, gunmetal matte finish. But overall cockpit looking like this, mirrors, it has the same feel. Also big mirrors looking past the shoulders. Vibrations very much the same. I would say less vibrations through the foot pegs on this bigger one, and has a slightly better sound, but could be better, and I think that's something I would do. I believe loud pipes save lives, and something that looks this good and rides this good should actually sound that good as well. So one of my comments, as you can see, the way I'm gunning through traffic is a little bit hooliganism, but this bike provokes it. So I'm gonna stick to my story and blame the bike. Whoa, this is illegal how much fun this bike could be. Yes, this is a bike that talks to me on all levels. Good looks, performance, and you know, Husqvarna, you're an individual, you're unique, you have something different, yet you have the ultra reliable and proven KTM backing, performance, chassis. It's not a fly-by-night, it's a reputable brand, backed and owned by an even more reputable brand, and you are just a unique individual with class and taste, and stonking performance to go with that. Have a look at this. Ooh, crazy, illegal. I don't want to go to jail, but I want to have fun. Again, it is a naked bike. There is no wind resistance. You can hear it's quite noisy in the helmet. Also, these tires emit quite a bit of noise. They are not the road tires. They are a bit of a mix of a tire, and you can hear a bit of noise coming off it, but handling wise, great. And performance, absolutely nothing to complain about. I just had to take this bike on the highway. You can see it's silly hour, there's huge amounts of traffic, but I don't think a bike like this can be the fun can be spoilt on a bike like this. Doesn't matter if you're stuck in traffic or if you're on the open road. A bike like this, you can have truckloads of fun anyway. Sure, this could be a very long video, but all I can say is I recommend, if you're looking for an awesome naked bike to have truckloads of fun on, go test this Husqvarna 801 Svartpilen, the Black Arrow. Fantastic machine. But what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna double back and park it somewhere where I can go through the specs and do a quick comparison: suspension, brakes, horsepower, torque versus the 401, just to show you what a different kind of a motorcycle this is, yet on a similar platform. As you can see, lane splitting, piece of cake. The undulation in the road here is a little bit crazy from the trucks, and here we go straight to the front. That quick shifter is superb as well. The gear flicks in very positive. You know it's in. It clicks in. It's not even notch here, just click and it's in. Oh, this bike is just confidence inspiring, and it's nimble, and it's, you think you got an 800 in a 250 chassis. That's what it feels like. And torque is nice, the power was nice. Yes, at 160 she got a bit noisy, so when you do ride her at speeds, put on your quietest helmet. There is no wind resistant wind protection on a bike like this, but I don't think these naked bikes are designed for that. You want to feel the wind in the hair, and you want that little bit of craziness. Life gets too boring without these things. I think I've covered everything from seating position, ergonomics, the switches, easy to get hold of, backlit, TFT. It is absolutely ticks all the boxes, from looks to fun factor to practicality, commuting. It is a fantastic piece of equipment, and there are few bikes, and seldom when you get on a bike and within 3 to 5 kilometers you have this kind of a smile on your face, and you just know if you had the spare cash you would definitely add it to your collection. But I'm going to now park it up here on the side of the road and quickly do a comparison of the specs and go through and see what makes this such a completely different piece. Having parked the 801 up here in front of me now, just having a look at her again, I must say they pretty much are similar in silhouette only, because just a couple of obvious differences. This bigger one has lost the spoked wheels. It's completely lost the trellis frame look. The exhaust finishing off at the bottom, it's got the bigger exhaust coming up on top. That whole seat section is different, not one bench. That whole badge on the side is different. It is a similar looking bike, but it's a completely different animal. And going through the specs, I'm going to start with this motor. Having a look from the front, you can see the two header pipes coming out, which tells you this is a parallel twin. The smaller one is a single piston 398cc. This is a 4-stroke parallel twin double overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder, 799cc. Also liquid cooled, and the horsepower on the smaller one is 45 horsepower. This is 105 horsepower, which is 77 kilowatt at 9,250 rpm, and torque is up from 39 to 87 newton meters at 8,000 rpm. So you can appreciate completely different beast. No more trellis frame, however, dual swing arm retained, and the final drive chain the same. When it comes to suspension, you still have the WP Apex upside down forks, 43mm, rebound and preload adjustable. However, less travel. The smaller brother has 150mm, this has 140mm up front. At the rear it's the same, both have 150mm travel. Also a monoshock WP Apex preload rebound adjustable, and so 150 travel here, 140 travel there. If you go to the brakes, very different. The smaller sibling had the single brake disc. This has two 300mm with 4 piston calipers, Brembos up front, and at the back you have single disc 240mm, a 2 piston caliper, Brembo floating, and again you have your ABS on both front and rear. Wheels on this one, it's 17-inch front and rear, but a cast aluminium wheel, and it's shod with a 120 in front and a 180 at the back. Seat height, they are identical, both at 320 millimeters in height, which is fantastic. And the dry weight goes from 155 kilos on the smaller one to 181 kilos, which really is not that much. You're talking 26 kilos. Wet weight is 190 kilos. And the fuel capacity goes up by 1 liter from 13 liters to 14 liters. Same sort of silhouetted petrol tank on that, but a really brilliant overall design. I love this integrated tank protector, the 2 separate seats, in this with the gauze over here, that exhaust coming up to the top. Again, oodles of Husky logos, one on the brake caliper here. You've got the 801, the Husky logo there, the Husky logo on the tank protector, the 801 over here, the middle of there, Husqvarna name over here. So all round stunning motorcycle, and even more exciting to ride than to look at. When we look at the electronic package, I mean, this thing has standard. It has cornering traction control, cornering sensitive ABS. It has ride-by-wire up and down quick shifters and a slipper clutch. With the optional dynamic pack, you get the motor slip regulation, the anti-wheelie, the cruise control, and you have the TFT, which is same as the smaller one, the 5-inch TFT. Love the animation, love the information provided on this thing. And really, you can go through, set up your motorcycle here, your ride modes, rain, dynamic, sport, street. It's all here. Dynamic riding, I'm going to leave it here now for the next ride. ABS, you can switch on and off, and it's just overall brilliant how you can change the information and all the animation. You don't need a PhD. It's a very easy TFT to read. Bike looks superb, looks modern, looks futuristic. Overall, it's a bike I've really enjoyed riding, looking at and playing with today. Of the two, the smaller one makes more sense as a practical commuter budget bike. However, if you're a seasoned veteran rider, this is the bike to have. This is the bike to play with. Absolutely fantastic. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode with me today. The look at the two Swedish Svartpilen black arrows, the 401 and the 801. Absolutely fascinating and exciting motorcycles. If you want to be that individual riding something completely different that nobody rides, Husky is your brand. If you look at the Norden, the Vitpilen, the Svartpilen, these two 401, 801s I rode today, very different looking motorcycles, futuristic, and who knows if they could be a future collector's piece or icon. Now, I must say I really enjoyed these motorcycles today, especially the ride on the 801. And if you guys enjoyed this episode with me, please remember, hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, and most important of all, please hit that subscribe button to help me build the channel. And if you like, the reminder bell so you always know when I'm uploading something new, and also the updates on my little Route 21 museum.